Hey guys, this is Scott. I just finished reading this book. Um, I never told you that I got more books from the library. This will probably be the last one. I think I got all the Warhammer books. So I got this book here, which I'll talk about, and I got that stack over there. The white one right there is actually a Sigmar book, but it's still Warhammer Sigmar. So I want to talk about this book real quick. I am still sick, so I got kind of a headache going on. Um, I can read while sick, but I can't really move in bed because every time I move, it like makes my head hurt. But I can read and be fine. Um, so this book wasn't very good. I do like Chris Wright. He sometimes makes a good book. And I like Jaghatai Khan. I like Chris Wright. Um, not a good book. Warhawk of the Chogoris. I think Chogoris is the planet he lives on. So Warhawk of the Chogoris. So not a very good book. So basically, every chapter does is he and his space marines talk for a bit, and then it does like a time skip where he's on like a spaceship. Then they talk for like 4 sentences, and then they time skip again to his first like planet he has to take over, and that lasts like a page or two, and then it does another time skip. This book is just all time skips. You read like 3 pages, and then it's a time skip, so that's kind of annoying. I know the Khan special power is speed. Maybe that's why it never sticks at one planet for too long. And also for a book that's called Jaghatai Khan, Primarchs, I expected like an origin story. Like, I think I read Parabo's book, and it actually talks about his childhood, and like living in the forest and stuff like that before he had an army. This book, this book starts out um, right as the Emperor found him. Like the first page is the Emperor finding him, and then he gives him a ship, and he like tells him, I know you want to be out there moving and not standing still, so you go out there and fight and stuff. And he does go to planet Earth and hangs out there for a bit, not too long. But yeah, Khan just always on the move. He's always, going from planet to planet. Um, it's just annoying. I know Primarchs have like 20,000 Space Marines or more, and this book only mentions like 2 of them, which is weird because it's a book about the White Scars. They don't even talk about the Scars, which is what they're named after. They do say that before they were White Scars, they were called the Star Hunters, which is a bit interesting. They were Star Hunters for like a week, and then they changed their names to the White Scars. Um, and Jaghatai Khan, from what I understand, he had to earn his name from fighting, and they don't show that. They start out after he earned his name, so it's not really an origin story. And then he goes off to fight these like bugs, who I think are Tyranids, but it's hard to tell. And then not much happens there. Basically, they send them out there to fight Tyranids because they do weird stuff to people to make them, basically to make them hate aliens. They made them fight weird aliens to make them hate aliens, which I guess worked. And then he went to go fight this orc planet. It was like full power white scars versus one planet of orcs, who I guess were getting really, they're stronger than normal orcs because they had weird boys with powers, and they had these crystals that I guess make powers better. So they were pretty strong orcs and full power white scars. And after that, Horus becomes War Master, and then I guess he goes fight. Horus becomes War Master, Khan goes out and fights more orcs, like 10 planets of orcs, you know. And then a good chunk of this book is him deciding what to do with Psychers. Should Psychers be in the war or not? And Khan, besides being fast, his other ability is doing stuff. His other ability is ignoring people. So when people tell him to, use his Psychers, he like ignores them. And when people tell him to that Psychers are bad, he ignores them too. So he's a very neutral guy. The Khan, from reading this book, I learned that the Khan is a very neutral guy. He's probably the most normal out of everyone. And from reading this book, he probably had one of the more normal childhoods. So he was a pretty normal guy, from what I can tell. But yeah, he fights like 2 times, and then Horus becomes War Master. So if that's true, then that means this is actually one of the last Primarchs that they found. And look at that height difference too. The height difference is crazy. These Space Marines, oh, he's kneeling. Well, no, he's on one leg. But yeah, these Space Marines are supposed to be like 7 feet tall or something. And Jaghatai is just towering over him. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, so yeah, they spend most of the book fighting orcs and talking about Psychers, and he's just neutral the whole time, and he ignores people, and he likes to go fast, and obviously a lot more happens in this book, but that's like the gist of it. Not a lot. I think there's only like 8 chapters in this book. So yeah, it's a really short book. There's only like 8 chapters, so not a lot happens. He does talk to his brothers a couple times, but not a lot happens. Each conversation in this book is like 5 sentences. So this book honestly doesn't accomplish much. It's kind of a pointless book, honestly. It's weird. I do like Chris Wright. I do like Jaghatai Khan. So I'm not sure why this book is so bad. So I did bring 2 books over for examples. So this book has the same art style as this book. This book has the same art style, right? If you look at the words, it's pretty similar. It's pretty similar. It's hard to see, but they have similar words on them. This book is a million times better than this book. This book, he starts out as like a baby, like an actual baby, and you see him grow up through the years, and he goes on a bunch of missions, not just one, and he actually like talks to each and every one of his, he actually walks around and talks to each and every one of his soldiers. In this book, he only talks to like 2 soldiers. This book is 8 chapters, and I think this book here is a full 20 chapters. So there's a lot more room there. Another book I brought along, for example, was this book. This book is actually several in one. If I can show you. So each of these is a different book. If that makes sense? Each of these is a different book. And each of these stories is like 30 pages. And these 30-page stories, I would say, are actually better. These 30-page stories, there's a closer look. I would say these 30-page stories are actually better than this one. I don't know why this one is so poor. Like, they should at least give any of them an origin story. This would have been the perfect book to do an origin story about, but they didn't. It's written very weirdly. Like I said, they talk for like 5 sentences, and then they do a time skip. So this book is just all over the place, which is weird. But yeah, he goes from like fighting orcs, and then like the Horus Heresy happens. So I would say out of all the Primarchs, he's probably the least experienced, because he fights like 4 times, and then the Horus Heresy happens, and the other Primarchs fight for like 100 years or something like that. So I'd say out of all the Primarchs, he's the least experienced. But I think he does survive a good chunk of the Horus Heresy, unlike the other ones. So I would say, he's the most inexperienced. He's probably the most normal one, and he's one of the cooler ones too, and he's a good fighter. So yeah, and even in the Siege of Terra books, the Siege of Terra book talks about the new one. I think book 5. Book 5, Siege of Terra, talks about the White Scars for like 2 chapters. And those 2 chapters they talk about the White Scars was better. I think it was actually called Warhawk. Yeah, book 5 of Siege of Terra was called Warhawk. And they talk about the White Scars for 2 chapters. And those 2 chapters was better. It's not a good book. That's what I'm trying to get at. I thought it'd be good, because this book is really good. It's not very good. I will say, out of all the books I read, this was probably the easiest. This book here has like lies upon lies upon lies, so it's pretty hard to read. And this book here, every story is like 30 pages, so it's kind of hard to read. But yeah, out of all the books I read, I think this is actually the easiest book I read. So even though this book's pretty bad, I would recommend it for people. I would still recommend it to people who are new, because this book was pretty easy. It was pretty easy to read. So if you're new, I'll start with this one. It was pretty easy to read for me. And I think that's it. I'm gonna start on that pile over there. Thanks for watching. This was Scott.